Excellent. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Wednesday, January 8th, 2025 meeting of the Little Compton School Committee. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? The flag is located over Michael's shoulder. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This month, while we bow our heads with a moment of reflection, I'd like to remember the legacy of Miss Joanna McKenzie. I couldn't help but think about her today when the ballet was taking place in this very space where we gather. She was a real champion of the youth, the arts, the outcomes and equity. She will be missed, and she was a real pillar of this community. So while we take a moment of silence to remember those in need around the world, please take a moment to remember Miss Joanna McKenzie. I thank you all. Item 2, appointment of new school committee officers. We will consider, discuss, and vote to appoint a school committee chair. Are there any nominations for school committee chair?
I move to appoint Travis Audie as the school committee chair.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we will vote via roll call, Jennifer.
Travis Audie.
Aye.
Amy Gleicher.
Aye.
Mike Gleicher.
Aye.
Susan Chase.
Aye.
Mike Rocha.
Aye. Thank you. I thought that there would be members of the community here, but this is being broadcast, so I just wanted to take a moment to say a few words. I'd certainly like to thank my fellow committee members and express my gratitude in entrusting me with the responsibility of serving as chair. It is not a responsibility I take lightly or for granted, and I look forward to serving this committee and community with the utmost dignity and respect. Also, as chair of this committee and as someone who is looked upon as a leader in our community, I believe it is crucial that we begin the new year with a renewed commitment to respectful and constructive communication. Ultimately, leading up to and following the recent election cycle, our community witnessed a decline in the civility of our public discourse. Communications filled with unsubstantiated claims about committee members, insinuating their affiliation with extremist groups, questioning their character, undermining their ethics, and misconstruing their intentions were published across several mediums. These types of communications not only undermined the integrity of our committee, but also inflict significant harm on our community. They create division and distrust amongst our neighbors, and sadly, even impact and hurt our loved ones. I want to apologize to all those affected, as this is not the kind of community we strive to be. As we turn the page on the past, I urge all stakeholders to engage in an open and civil discourse, respecting differing viewpoints while upholding the highest standards of ethical communication. Let us strive to create a space where ideas are exchanged freely and respectfully, where we listen to understand and where we treat each other with the dignity and respect we all deserve. As many of you know, with working with me, I am an eternal optimist, and I am incredibly proud of the accomplishments of the previous committee. I am confident and committed that this current committee, through collaborative effort and shared commitment to excellence, will continue to build upon those successes. I look forward to working with all of you to ensure we continue to do right by our students, teachers, administrators, staff, families, and the entire community of Little Compton. Thank you all. I appreciate all of you. And with that being said, I will take a moment to nominate Ms. Amy Gleicher for the appointment of school committee vice chair. Amy has showed that she is not only thoughtful, but she has exceptional communication skills. And during the election cycle, she conducted herself with such a level of poise, grace, that I think that she's not only an unbelievable addition to this committee, but she would be an excellent vice chair.
Excuse me, Chair. While I think it's appropriate for you to give your support, I do think you need a nomination from one of the other 4 members, since you are now presiding as chair.
Correct. So I cannot even nominate Amy.
You can call for a nomination. You can
All right.
express your support for whoever you feel.
Fair. Then I will. Then I call for. Is there a nomination for Ms. Amy Gleicher for the appointment of vice chair?
I would nominate Amy Gleicher for the position of vice chair.
Do we have a second? Now, can I second, Sean?
No, you need a second from one of the other members. Chair typically does not
Fair.
move for second motions.
All right, do I have a second?
Guess that leaves it to me. I'll second you.
Thank you, Michael. Jennifer, we will vote via roll call.
Travis Audi,
Aye.
Amy Gleicher,
Aye.
Mark Gleicher,
Aye.
Susan Chase,
Aye.
Mike Rocha.
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you. I didn't realize that, Sean. I apologize.
Okay.
Should I also wax poetic about Sue before I call for a nomination for secretary?
Your call, Chair.
Well, all right. I do want to say that Sue Chase is a community member which I encountered at the Wellness Center. And we connected over meditation and also her being incredibly thoughtful and passionate about the outcomes of the children in the school. She has she's put her children through and now has two young grandchildren that attend Wilbur McMahon. And I ask if there is a nomination for Miss Sue Chase for secretary of the school committee.
I am happy to nominate Sue Chase for secretary.
And do I have a second?
I can second that.
Excellent. Jennifer, we will vote via roll call.
Travis Audi,
Aye.
Susan Chase,
Aye.
Amy Gleicher,
Aye.
Mark Gleicher,
Aye.
Mike Rocha.
Aye.
Excellent. Welcome aboard, Susan. Welcome aboard, Amy. Mark and Michael have been in this room before. We will get to that in a moment when we approve the minutes from a previous meeting. And now we have the appointment of subcommittee liaison and committee positions. Jennifer, are you ready? Okay, I don't want to just rattle them off. Contract negotiation subcommittee will be myself and Mr. Mark Gleicher, or Travis Audi and Mark Gleicher. High school contract negotiation subcommittee will be Travis Audi and Mark Gleicher. Policy subcommittee will be Travis Audi and Amy Gleicher. Portsmouth High School liaison or Portsmouth School Committee liaison will be Mark Gleicher. Town Recreation Committee liaison will be Mark Gleicher. Scholarship subcommittee will be myself and Michael Rocha. Wellness committee will be Miss Susan Chase. And school improvement team selection committee will be Amy Gleicher.
So, Travis,
Yes.
so we ran into a conflict on this the last time. The last time I sat onto the scholarship subcommittee.
What is the conflict?
I still have kids in high school and college.
Do you have children in the high school? Or is it only for high school?
Yeah, it's for high school, never mind.
You should be good. I think you're good. And Sean can confirm that.
Well,
I get it. If his child is in.
yeah, if you have any children that could be considered, and there's a potential for that, yeah, that would be a conflict if you're making selections. So just be cautious of that.
It is blind, but as long as you don't have an active senior for the next 2 years, I think that we should include you in the scholarship subcommittee. All right, consent agenda item 4.1 needs to be, I think we can keep it, but only myself, Mark, and Michael can vote on it because we were the only ones in attendance for the November 13th, 2024 meeting. So Sean, do I ask for a motion to pass item 4.1 with the three of us? All right.
You can vote on the rest.
All right, I will consider a motion to approve item 4.1 minutes of school committee regular meeting on November 13th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second it.
Excellent. Well, we will vote via roll call, Jennifer.
Travis Audi,
Aye.
Mark Gleicher,
Aye.
Mike Rocha.
Excellent. The motion carries. The remaining items 4.2 through 4.5. Do I have a motion to approve the remaining consent agenda?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the remaining consent.
Do we have a second?
Second it.
Excellent. We'll vote via roll call, Jennifer.
Travis Audi,
Aye.
Susan Chase, Amy Gleicher,
Aye.
Mark Gleicher,
Aye.
Mike Rocha.
Aye.
Item 5, public input. Roger, do you have anything you'd like to share? And we definitely do not, I believe, Sean, we should look into it. I think Portsmouth does take comment from, I'm not positive of that. I feel like they do. From virtual, if people are virtual. I don't know if that's something in our bylaws that is not,
If there's a way for you to do that, I don't think your bylaws speak to virtual. But certainly if the technology is available, we can have.
yeah, I just want to make sure we're thorough because on nights like tonight, Lori, thank you so much for joining us. I'm thinking about the general public and if you could watch this at home or come in, brave the elements. Most people are probably watching at home. I mean, twist their arm, right? All right. Without further ado, we will go to item 6, Spotlight and Excellence Winter Activities at Wilbur McMahon School. I believe this is Mr. Principal McKinney.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Chairperson Audi and fellow school committee members. Obviously, December was a pretty busy month around here. We started with our, or I shouldn't say started, we kind of finished up with our WMS holiday concert that took place on December 18th with our students in grades 4 through 8. We did change things up a little bit. We had an all 6th through 8th grade band and 6th through 8th grade chorus, which is something new this year. They actually have time where they're practicing 2 times a week. So they're getting a lot of time in, which is great. Next slide, please. Seconic Garden Club. We're here on 2 different occasions. One with our 6th grade making wreaths. It was also probably one of the colder days of the year at that time with wind chills in the lower teens, single digits. So unfortunately, we had to move it inside. The Seconic Garden Club is here around Christmas time, also here during the springtime, working with our students. But as you can see, some of our 6th graders produced some excellent wreaths during this time. We want to thank the Seconic Garden Club. Next slide. We also had a visit from Mr. and Mrs. Elwell from the Little Compton Grange. They donated dictionaries to all of our 3rd grade students. They all received dictionaries, compliments of the Little Compton Grange. The Little Compton Garden Club, as I talked about, worked not just with our 6th grade, but also with our 3rd grade students. And we also had a visit on December 8th from the New Bedford Symphony Orchestra. And they were tying in STEM related issues into music. Next slide. Holiday, I find it hard to believe that students don't dance a whole lot anymore, maybe some line dancing. So there's more karaoke going on. The students have a great time with it. And I have to say, the student council was involved with decorating the gym for that time, and they really did an outstanding job. The kids had a good time. And that was, I believe it was, we did it on a Thursday night rather than a Friday night. And that was to get more faculty members here. It's tough to do on a Friday night, particularly around the holidays. And we also recognize our students of the month for the month of December. We're also going to, excuse me, that was the month of November. We're going to recognize our students of the month of December on Friday of this week. And a couple more slides. This is our 6th grade Lego robotics. This was an enrichment class that has kind of taken a life of its own. And they're kind of like a farm team, I guess you could say, for my next slide, which will be coming up. And that is our First Tech Lightning. But our 6th graders have kind of taken this on with Miss Gay, Mr. Ayotte, and Mr. Gay, kind of helping to support them. They did not make that robotic looking animal on the left-hand side, but along those lines, some of the things that they're going to be involved with, certainly going to prepare them for the next level, which is our First Tech, which First Tech has their next, they're starting their season this Saturday at Mount St. Charles up in Woonsocket. That is their robot. It kind of is in almost like a boxing ring, I guess you could say. It's a square, and they have to move items from areas of that square into other areas of the square. So this is I believe this weekend is kind of if they qualify for the state, they can do it this weekend. If they don't qualify this weekend, there's another opportunity for them. There's a lot of returning veterans on this team. So best of luck to our Wilbur Lightning. That's going to be taking place this Saturday up at Mount St. Charles. I think that is it, John. Thank you.
Great.
Excellent. Thank you, Principal McKinnon. How many kids would you say are in that Lego robotics? A lot of.
Yeah,
I don't
there were a
know. if it's all
lot there. I think there's about, I'm gonna ballpark and say about 15 of them.
Ah,
That's just the sixth grade class.
wow, very good. All right, Dr. Mitchell, the superintendent report, item 7.
Okay, well, we will start off with the big news that for 2 years in a row, we are a 5-star school. Jonathan, could you take us to the school website? Out of 300 plus schools in the state, only 6.8% this year achieved that status. It is based on a very rigorous metric that is wholly data driven. And our school was 3 stars several years in a row since the late teens, when the state actuated ESSA regulations around annual accountability reports for every school in the state being public. And so go to, yep, there it is. I already linked the new one. Go down useful links. There it is. So just let's go to accountability on that particular. So you can go to the family section of our website, click on information, and I always have the report card in there and linked. Thank you. It's a little bit wonky in terms of web speed tonight, but we'll get through it. And so Jack and I, a few years ago, invited Ride down, was, I think, January of 2023.
Yep.
And we asked, help us look at our data and figure out how we know we are a 5-star school. How can we get there from 3 stars? And they showed us that we were on the cusp of so many different criterion points. And so Jack then met with the staff. He has monthly meetings with faculty, and they made it happen. We had kids who were very close to meeting the standards, meeting the proficiency levels based on the learning standards. And so he came up with intervention plans for those kids. And at point of need, he came up with small group interventions, individual interventions. We also focused on student attendance. That is part of the metric. So is staff attendance. School culture is part of the metric. And that is a data point around suspensions, behavioral data, et cetera. And so we knew that we could definitely hit 4 stars the next year. We hit 5, and then we hit it again. And it's the hard work of our teachers, our families. And that's why it is, federal, it's part of the regs on the federal level, every Student Succeeds Act, and in every state as well, because community involvement is key. That's why there's a big push in the state, every state, for improved attendance, et cetera. And I have to thank Mr. McKinnon and his incredible staff, all the kids and their families, for getting us to where we are. Within that one area under accountability, there's achievement in ELA, achievement in math. You can just go to those, scan to those.
Excuse me.
We still didn't get, the maximum points in certain areas, but we got enough so that we did make it to the 5-star level. And so our proficiency rates are, 68%, et cetera, et cetera. So we got the max, 3 out of 4 points there. Go to math. And we did 3 out of 4 points in math as well. The metric affords points for approaching proficiency, not just meeting and exceeding, but approaching. And so that's why we did really well there. And then science proficiency. And so that's the hard data when it comes to assessment. So we did really well in the science area with 3 out of 3. Let's go to growth in ELA. So our students' growth is also measured. Are we moving our kids? Obviously, we are. And are we getting a better and better every year at supporting kids as they meet or exceed proficiency levels in every single grade? That is assessed grades 3 through 8. And so, we just sort of shifted a few pieces here and there, hit growth in math as well. 2 out of 3 in growth in math. So we know what we need to do there. In ELA, we realize that our kids are knocking out of the park in terms of reading, but not necessarily writing. So we did contact RIDE. They come in tomorrow and they'll be offering several sessions to our teachers, our ELA teachers and our specialists, and just how to push our kids further when it comes to writing skills. We didn't come out on top anywhere, in terms of writing. We didn't beat any district. We beat all the districts in reading. We disaggregated that data point, but not in writing. And so we looked at districts like Barrington, we looked at Jamestown, a few others. We blew them out of the water with our reading component of the ELA data point, but not the writing. So we're going to start that tomorrow. So we're on this path of continuous improvement, and it's hard work. It's more hours for our teachers, for our leader over there, and harder work for our kids and parents being vigilant, and our partners and collaborators. But we're doing it. You can see we still have work to do. We're at 5 stars, but we're not maxing out on that point system. Let's see. And we go beyond that to the other data points. And we're not there yet. We don't have our MLL kids being assessed yet.
That will be happening, we think, in this next.
Absolutely. So we'll
We do
have
some
that data
MLL
point.
students.
And that's a tough one. A lot of districts, John can speak to that about Lincoln High School. And so that's a new data point in this accountability system. We rolled it out last year. And so a lot of 5-star schools are going down to 4 and 3 because they're the MLL, those multi-language learners are not hitting the mark. And that is a call to action, all educators, administrators, and families. So that's ongoing. Oh, student absenteeism. Let's go up there. Student absenteeism was relatively high for years in this district. And we are so proud of ourselves. And that is, a data point that takes parental, family support and collaboration, and a lot of outreach sometimes on the part of school staff, Principal McKinnon and our clinician and our guidance counselor, definitely. And we knew that was a piece we needed to work on because RIDE told us, your attendance is not, it's underwhelming, and so that was, we took some strategic action there, and it has been successful.
If I could, Laurie, too, there's also, as you might imagine, the tie-in with regular attendance, improving growth and proficiency. So there is a tie. Students who struggle to get to school are going to struggle in those areas in math and ELA and science.
So seat time and learning, so that's all increased. We used to have very high numbers. It was a point that we were always watching, a data point we were always watching. We were always in the RIDE portal. It's called Early Warning System. And also, when you have compelling classes and compelling co-curricular and extracurricular offerings, kids want to come. So, and that is happening here across the board. Our teachers have been incredible. Let's see, teacher absenteeism. I think this is the first year that we get 3 points out of here. And employee staff wellness is everything. We need to support those who are doing the hardest work in our schools. Those are the classroom teachers and specialists. And so we do have a very robust HR, human resource department. We are offering a peer support model here. We're the only one that we know of in the country, that's fully grant funded. We're offering exercise classes twice a week to our teachers, health and wellness activities every month, walking challenges, plank challenges. We're offering healthy alternative snacks that we're all becoming hooked on. Had a chocolate covered fig today. It's delicious. And we're really focusing on the whole student, the whole child, and the whole human resource. And we're seeing gains like this. So we're very proud of our standing in the state. We're not in elementary school, we're not in middle school. That's why we don't make it into those lists. We are a K-8. It's a different animal. Our aggregate data is how RIDE sees us, and our aggregate data, according to RIDE, is the highest in the state for ELA and math, grades 3 through 8. They don't pull out grades 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, 7 or 8. It's just not how it's done in K-8 school. So we have the highest data points in terms of student achievement, ELA and math in the state. We're 5 stars and the only public school in the state with an international baccalaureate program. And everyone in the community, the school community knows this, but maybe there are others who aren't in our school community tuning in or looking, every now and then at the cable channel. Couldn't be more proud and more grateful and more honored and humble to be working alongside educators, school administrator, support specialists, and an elected body and a town financially and just in every which way supports this school. So that's why we are looking at this incredible 5-star status the second year in a row.
Have you had, have you had parents reach out sharing their?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
I was going to say, I've had some.
Yeah.
And it sounded a little bit like you've been reading my emails, even though you don't have access to them, but I say how proud we are.
I promise.
5-star rating, where we are with our RICAS, the participation from the families, the support we have from the community. It all, as you shared and Principal McKinnon shared, it all is encompassing to create the outcome that we're all looking for. I know Michael and myself sat in this room probably 3 years ago, and our absentee was like, what's happening? And I know we were coming out of COVID and it was pretty much consistent with the entire state, but it was the kind of thing where you're like, you had no idea. And to speak to Principal McKinnon's point, being in here, whether it's school, whether it's music, whether it's sports, the time you put in, those kids are going to excel beyond the kids that are not having the ability to get here on time, be in the classroom, be in the extracurriculars. So I'm just really proud of the work that you all do. Certainly the teachers, and you mentioned that. The buy-in from the teachers is incredibly important, and the buy-in from the families is really bringing us to outcomes that, when I first came onto this committee, I didn't know how we were going to get there. We've gotten there. And to hear you speak so highly of our outcomes as they sit today, but not be satisfied in how we can continue to grow, it makes me very happy.
We're getting our kids ready for high school and beyond.
It's awesome. It's really, I'm glad that there's not complacency. It's just really, as a parent that teaches that to his child, I'm very glad to hear that you're celebrating the moment, but we know we can do better. And that's what it's all about.
We want all those points.
Yeah.
That means all of our kids are ready.
Great stuff.
Ninth grade and beyond.
Great stuff. Does anyone else have comments for Dr. Mitchell regarding the RIDE accountability rating at Wilbur McMahon School?
It's right there. Just sort of families information, scroll down. It's been there for a few years. I updated, obviously, the link every year. But yeah, that's there. And it has to be, we have to report out publicly. That's the whole point of accountability.
Okay, no secrets here.
Yeah, so there it is.
Some transparency and accessibility so people can whether they're existing students or out of district parents that are
Everything's there, right
interested.
there.
This is exactly what we need to see. Laura, you are still on the mic with our 7.2 capital improvement plan update.
This is just a quick one. I'm happy to report that we did hear from the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank, and we did receive the $550,000 grant to upgrade our water system. And
Praise be, thank God.
huge.
I remember a couple months ago when you didn't lead with the grant at the end of the spiel, but
Your goodness, right? And so it's been a 3-month odyssey, and I just cannot thank Haley and Aldrich enough, the engineers there, the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank, to have the head of the bank come to town council and take the podium
yes,
to reassure the council members that it is not alone in any way, shape, or form. It's an out-and-out grant. I mean, when I reached out and asked someone to come, I did not expect the head honcho. Not being from Rhode Island, I didn't know he was the head honcho. Until I think Mr. McNamee.
Mr. McNamee,
And said, well, that is the director. Oh, okay, great. So that was a unanimous vote from the town council. We submitted the next day. And, we still had to do some polishing and proofreading and all that good stuff. And there were at least 13, 15 documents. I'm not even sure. We've lost count. All of them multi-pages, multiple pages and so forth. But when I got back, got the word that they voted, the board met that Monday night, the Rhode Island Infrastructure Board. So we'll get up to 550,000. I did a script now. Chris Osborne and I were, yes.
yeah, Chris was pleased when I saw him regarding that.
So next it'll be the RFP, and we'll float that. The push was to capture that money, because there will be municipalities who will not have access to it. And the director, I forgot his name, is very nice. The director of the infrastructure bank. It's Italian. It was lovely.
It'll come to me before the end of the meeting.
Yeah, and so he did say, you're very fortunate because, to get this in on time, you put pedal to the metal. There's just, a limited amount of money. The tranche of money was 50 million for the entire state for every water system. So, we're taking $500,000 on it. Yeah, just go quickly to capital improvement plan. When the new members or senior members who've been here before, when you book a meeting with me individually, which is usually a matter of course, I will give you a tour of some of the areas that are being highlighted, in this next slide. You've all seen the drone footage of the solar project. That was pretty cool. Go up to projects, programs, and so I'll give you a quick tour. I'll show you the 30,000 gallon fire suppression tank, the retention tank for the water system, the boosters that boosted up, the other 4 buildings on the commons, et cetera, et cetera. That's the PFAS mitigation project, or we're calling it, the EPA calls it emerging contaminants grant. So our stage 2 capital improvement plan that this school committee approved a few years ago, we're sort of hammering away at it. And we've already taken the art room that was, huge, a lot of wasted space, and we created another classroom that was $90,000, 60 in short, 60 after reimbursement, I believe. No. We did that for 50,000. Yeah, so that was, I have to change those numbers. That cost us 50,000 less 35% reimbursement. And that's our new design room. And I'll show some of you that room. It's really, really cool with funky furnishings that we got through a grant. That grant was 25,000. So most of that room was paid for through grants from the state. We also did the new stage curtain and audiovisual equipment. That was, I would say, almost $250,000. That is completed. These are just numbers I put up there. I do have to meet and round those out better. The equipment, we've added $150,000, about $110,000 of equipment in the kitchen over the past few years, all from grants. And we're finally done. Over the vacation, our gorgeous Hobart commercial dishwasher came in that was engineered out of the last renovation. And not just the dishwasher, but all of the stainless steel accoutrement around it. Very, very cool. And faucets, sink, everything. That was a major job in terms of new plumbing and electricity. We've also added our hand washing stations and our customized hand dryers. Our teachers use them. I showed Mr. McNamee today, and now he wants to bring some to Lincoln schools. They're pretty cool. I was in there today as the kids were doing all of their, their liquids, all of their things, and they just line up, do it, and dry, and off they go. So all of that is done. Our new range was also added last spring. That was also engineered out of the last renovation. So we have pretty much upgraded the entire cafeteria at this point. And we're adding a new warming station as well, steam table. And we're looking to get some new cafeteria tables if I can find another grant or some more money. The solar project is complete. It is, it was, oh yeah, how much was that? It was 560,000. But that will, I think, our share of that is 65,000. That's good. All right. No.
Sure, it'll be zero.
Well, not according to my spreadsheet, Mr. McNamee. He's the CPA. I'm not, but no.
I like his better.
I like it better.
Zero.
That's what
Like
I
that.
reported out in my Friday memo, but I like that better. So, good, now we can get cafeteria tables. Okay, let's move on. Yeah, so the solar project was $500,000 or more, and that will be zero. Because I've already accounted for the town's 180, federal grant, the 2 state grants, the reimbursement. What's that?
We have housing aid on
The housing aid, and I came up with 65,000.
No,
I'm wrong. I love it when I'm
I should have
wrong.
pulled math, I guess.
It's all good. And PFAS mitigation project is, we're heading into that with the, getting the funding was the major part. And now we're doing the planning, floating the RFP. Next, we have to work on a storm, we have a water infiltration problem on the west side, and that goes back to the renovation from 2012. And that will cost between $100,000 and $150,000 before housing aid. The housing aid is 35 to 40% reimbursement.
And we're past like any warranty on the work over there. I mean, I don't know. I mean, your insurance is a disaster with like anything.
I called the
storm
trust.
water, standing water, flood water. I mean, it's like it's a dance. So I wasn't sure.
I did reach out to the trust, and they said no.
This was on the leak.
Yes, they were cranky pants. So, and I was pushy, but it didn't work. And reimagining the media center is also in the planning phase. We're going to do that over the course of several years. And phase 1 will take out all of the fixed shelving and replace it with mobile shelving so that we can use that space for meetings in terms of egress requirements, state fire code, and also just, modernizing it a bit, more modular furniture rather than fixed casement and bookcases and so forth. I met yesterday with Studio Jade, that has been our architectural engineering firm working with us on our stage 2. And so we're going to start with some new furnishings in there. Like I said, the modular and mobile. And then we'll move on to reapportioning that space, creating a separate room for meetings and even small group classes and so forth. And then hopefully we've already started the HVAC planning, and that is air conditioning on the 2nd floor, hopefully starting this summer. That's where it is the hottest. With climate change, we all are suffering at the end of every year, at the beginning of every school year. And that'll be done in phases 2 over a few years as well. And that will be subject to housing need, at least 35-40% reimbursement. And that's where we are right now.
Thank you, Laura.
And that's up there too. That's up there in the district tab, and it'll say capital improvement plan. I'm always updating it, and obviously I have to update all of them.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell.
So,
Now the number man.
I think I'd like the superintendent to take it.
She stole a little bit of your thunder. Her pressure's on now, big guy.
sorry.
So let's look at FY '24, which is 6/30/24, which was completed. We're looking at a small surplus of 61,962. That'll be subject to audit. The audit was at the town side, which includes the school, was supposed to be completed by the end of December for the Auditor General. We've requested an extension. We believe that we'll need an extension probably to the end of April so the town can get their numbers together, and the auditors obviously going into a busy season would have time sometime in late March and April to complete it. So we have a meeting next week with the Auditor General to kind of keep him informed of the process. This past, I guess it was before Christmas, we did refinance the school bonds. We got a pretty good rate. The overall savings would be a little over $200,000 in debt service, which would be on the town's books. In going through that process, we met with the rating agencies, which gave us a AAA rating, probably one of the few in the state. I think Barrington probably has AAA. I don't know about East Greenwich, but so that was pretty encouraging. I think once we get by this little hiccup with the records, we should be in pretty good shape going forward in terms of staying on track with the audits. But in terms of this committee's due diligence, I'll keep you informed in terms of how that process is going through the end of April. As far as the current year, we are still looking at a deficit, but since it's so early in the year, some of those items that I'm projecting based on the budget. And as the year progresses and we don't use those funds, we wind up obviously adding those back to the projection. So I'm not too concerned. We are showing a little bit over $100,000 deficit right now. Revenues are pretty easy. We don't see any changes in those. We do have a $50,000 distribution from the Newport County Special Education Program, which we're hoping to get in this year and kind of wrap up that collaborative dissolution. But other than that, we've been incurring some additional expenses on the fire alarm. It seems to have had repairs on a weekly basis. So, and some of that I think is just in the normal cost. Now the building is it's been almost 10 years in the renovation. So, we'll see some of the needs starting to pop up a little bit now too. So, but other than that, I think everything else we seem to be tracking towards budget.
Thank you, John. And just, I want to thank you for what you're doing over at the town hall. Prior to the election, I spoke with Councilor Mushin. Following the election, I've spoken to George Kroll on the budget committee. I've spoken to Patrick McHugh, and you are really the glue that's keeping this together over there with some of the timelines that were misrepresented by our accounting firm. It is what it is. I'm just glad that somebody's in there driving the bus and understanding what needs to be done and who to call and how to do it. So really thank you for your diligence with there. I don't think people realize, unless you have these kind of one-on-ones with the gentleman I mentioned, or in that building on a day-to-day basis, the challenges that it presents when the ducks aren't all in a row. when they're supposed to be. So really, thank you for your patience with that.
Challenging.
If I may, Chair and John, Bill Fazioli.
There it is.
Wonderful. They came out here and was super supportive of our proposal.
All right, excellent. On to item 9, committee reports. Portsmouth School Committee liaison. This will be my swan song here until I turn it over to Mr. Mark. Mark, if you ever do get caught, I will be happy to pick up the slack, all good. We all work together here. So this is a little dated. There's not too much to report. Their next meeting is actually next Tuesday. I know that this is a pressing issue throughout the state. I commented on the last time. It has appeared in the Secundit Times. I believe they mentioned the Bristol Warren, and it's talking about the cell phone policy. The Portsmouth School Committee has decided through the guidance of the Department of Education to ask parents, students, teachers for their input before they put forth a policy, even into subcommittee, let alone ahead of the school. So it seems like it's an ongoing discussion, not so much the last meeting, but 2 meetings ago, there was probably about 45 minutes to an hour where it was robust dialogue from teachers, administrators, students, staff, as well as parents that attended the meeting. So stay tuned to that. I know that we've discussed in this room that it's not an issue here, which is great to hear. But also we want to be aware that if it does become an issue, how we would navigate that with a policy. The open house for CTE was end of December. Of course, the music was the end of December as well. The class of 26 pasta dinner was at the end of December. Winter sports is off and running. Yearbook orders are being placed. If you are a senior, your portrait is due February 1st. The PHS logo and branding is awaiting the results of the survey. The mascot, they're still in works with the mascot. Apparently, as many of us go down a rabbit hole on these on the internet, they went to a site that over guaranteed and under delivered. So they're back to kind of square one with finding a mascot and a uniform that is actually suitable rather than just some website that is going to take your money. Peer tutoring is happening. The blood drive, they're very focused on the blood drive. I've reported on the blood drive in the past. They are concerned. The next one is in February. I say they're concerned because they typically have higher numbers. Right now, the numbers are kind of low. There is a student populace that is very adamant about driving those numbers up. And then the final piece is they did I don't know if it was a seminar or some course regarding of some kind regarding the food choices. And despite what the students thought, they were pleased to report that all of the food that they eat at this high school is locally sourced from places like Narragansett. They did a food tasting. The meat and dairy and veggies are all locally sourced, with the furthest coming from Buffoni Farms in, I believe, Cranston it is. So Johnston, my apologies. But the response from the students was they didn't know what they didn't know. They did some tastings. They learned some things. They're very pleased with that. And hopefully we can continue in that with our farm and seed to table by supporting our local farmers and trying to do as much as we can, especially now that we have a real kitchen, from cooking to cleaning, the whole thing. I mean, not just like what was going on. What else do I have? There was a presentation regarding the program of studies, and basically this is a presentation that similar to what our goals are at Wilbur McMahon. They outline goals for student culture and engagement, identifying programmatic, I don't know why I wrote programmatic, but programming challenges, review and refine logistics shifts. This year they did the new block scheduling, which there has been mixed reviews. To be honest with you, I've talked to students that love it, and I've talked to some that are like, it's a little harder. So, I mean, that's still up for debate. And then they continue to always streamline their processes and procedures. But yeah, if you do have a chance to attend one of these meetings, I highly suggest that they also post their meetings on YouTube. So if you are a parent with a student enrolled in Portsmouth, don't feel like you need to be driving up there. You can check it out online. And yeah, if you're a parent that's going to have somebody in the high school, I think that you should definitely check it out. There's a lot of great things happening.
Travis, if I could,
Please.
so they did have a CTE open house. I believe it was on the same night as our holiday concert here.
Correct, the 18th.
Yeah, I did reach out to Dr. Heath and they did change it for us. They're gonna have something, I believe it's January 16th. I have to check my notes.
Man.
For Little Compton students. I know it was put out to our 8th grade parents, and I think there's anywhere from 6 to 8 to 10, I guess, students who might be interested in going over there to see that. And they also have on January 29th, the informational meeting for parents and students, which is kind of like an open house.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing
That's
those.
for everybody.
Yeah, the CTE programs I'm learning in the state, like there's things that Tiverton does. There might be some of them that might overlap a little bit at Portsmouth, but these communities that are adjacent to one another, let's use Tiverton, Portsmouth, and Middletown as an example. They're trying to differentiate themselves and their programs and what they offer to students so that we're not all on the same track. So if you live in Tiverton and something's offered in Portsmouth, you can make the trip over the bridge and attend Portsmouth High School and vice versa. So in learning that with the school committee members throughout the state, I thought that that's a really, really great system instead of it's like, well, Tiverton, Portsmouth, Middletown all have the same thing. Well, who does it best? Kids are falling behind in one area, that kind of thing. It seems like they have a good system worked out in terms of spreading it around. All right, that's it for me. Wellness Committee Liaison Report. I don't believe we've had a wellness meeting, but I am thrilled to hear that the participation from the teachers, I mean, at least at my time serving on this committee, has certainly grown.
On wellness?
But wellness, their participation with
On the committee itself.
yeah, well, the committee, and then also the offerings that you share with them, like the classes, the challenges. There's a lot of buy-in with that, which is great. And I know that Sue will do an excellent job of continuing that, as she is very wellness focused in her day-to-day life. Item 9.3, Policy Subcommittee Report. So our previous Policy Subcommittee members are no longer with us. They did excellent work in protecting the outcomes of our children, protecting the taxpayer from any type of litigation, undue litigation that could occur should our policies not fall in line with the state, Department of Education, or the federal guidelines. I know I will talk with Amy, but is there a date in which there would be our next policy subcommittee meeting? Or
There's nothing on the books at the moment.
so, and correct me if I'm wrong, and Sean can chime in on this. Unless there is a pressing policy issue, how frequent do the policy meetings need to occur? I do not want to put them on the back burner, as I think that it's a constantly evolving book there, if you will.
So I think there's two ways to think about it. One is the way you sort of spoke to when they come up, we deal with it.
Yes.
I think a better practice would be to have a regular review where you are meeting on a regular basis, which is what we do. Laws do constantly change. You don't necessarily know where they're going to change. But also it's good to review policies every once in a while, even if a change is not being driven by the General Assembly or the federal government. It is good to look at that. Does it still make sense for Little Compton to have it this way? And if not, what changes can we?
Absolutely. I'm very sensitive to, and I know that we've dealt with this and we've addressed, the previous policy subcommittees have really addressed it, but I don't want to be looking at a policy that says 2014, unless it's like a sweeping, name at the top of the paper type thing. Like, I think, like you said, we should be reviewing these, making sure that they're in compliance if they need adjusting, and then stamping them with a more recent date so that we can move forward with confidence, knowing that it has been talked about, it has been addressed, it has been approved by this committee, and then kind of put it to rest. So Laura, you just let us know when you're thinking the next one would be.
And the principal empowerment statute, if I may,
Please.
the principal empowerment statute was rolled out in 2020. And that's when we first met you. Yeah. That was fun. I'm gonna look at the tape again. We looked at, it changed everything. When school committees sort of focused on policy and this moving forward, the statute left the hiring and evaluating and all that administrative stuff to the administrators. We had to go in and look at dozens and dozens of policies, every district in the state did. And we had some really good guidance with John Anderson and Sean. He said that's how we met Sean. He came in and gave us a primer on the statute, how it would impact school committee governance and superintendent and principal workflows. So we hit all the heavy policies then. We worked for a year and a half, 2 years, non-stop. It was the most active committee I've ever been on. And then we just got on a roll and just, and before that was more point of need, okay? There's a new statute or this tweak or whatever. And I think it's worked. It's worked meeting sometimes monthly, every 6 weeks, every 8 weeks or so. I know there's always policies that someone in the building will go to Jen and say, hey, this should be on a policy subcommittee agenda. I can think of 2 or 3 as I sit here. So, and it's worked, and we've stayed ahead of any litigation or any non-compliance. So above and beyond federal and statutory regulations that change, and we have to respond policy-wise. It is a good idea to just look at, we've even retired some archaic policies.
Yeah.
And then we've also looked at language that is, not respectful of, all families and configurations, and we've changed that. So I think Sean would safely say that just about every policy can be looked at every year.
It's like, yes, Bill.
Logistically, that's not, possible, but when we look at one and we realize, oh my God, there's another one that is linked to, and that one is so archaic, it's 2008, that sort of.
Correct.
So,
Well, to echo what you're saying, I know myself and Amy will certainly go through the policies. I know Hannah, Megan, Polly Allen, we're very diligent in doing that. And I'd like to continue with that theme as you just shared. So let's keep the ball rolling. Let's stay on top of things. Let's make sure the protections are in place for our children and our families, and make sure that we're constantly staying on top of new laws or statutes. And so we can best protect the taxpayer, because we don't want to be on the wrong side of not being ahead of the game. And I think that we've done a beautiful job to this point with the guidance that you've provided and Sean's provided, and the previous subcommittee members. So let's just keep with the theme. Awesome. Thank you. All right, finally, Town Recreation Committee Liaison Report, Mr. Michael Rocha.
So there's a few things. There's the garden club came to the recreation committee they're looking to reduce the planting area outside of the playground on the left side, just to cut down on the overhead of the maintenance of that. So that will be taking place going forward. They're starting to work on that. On the right side going in, the planting beds will stay the same, but on the left side, they're looking to remove the majority of that. The tree committee is going to come to do a presentation on January 13th at 6:30. They're looking to plant more trees around Veterans Field. So they're coming to see what the recreation committee says about that. And then, Jonathan, can you go to the homepage? Can you refresh that maybe?
Slow tonight.
So I came on to the Recreation Committee 2 years ago as a representative of the school. The rec committee had no website. They had no calendar. You could never know what was going on from field to field. So basically, I built this website for the town of Little Compton. It also has, a link for the recreation calendar. So if you click onto the recreation calendar, you can be able to go in and see what's going on in the different fields. It also is tied into the school calendar as well for the gymnasium, since the recreation committee oversees the gymnasium during off hours. If you go back into the homepage, there's a facilities request form on that side. People would actually go back in and put in a request if they wanted to do something. If you went back up to the top under the blue bar where it says basketball signups, that's currently going on right now as the girls and basketball going on Friday night for boys basketball, and girls, basically parents were able to go through and click on the links below and sign up and go through. I built all this, and I also built the calendar so that everybody could see this. Maybe Mark will want to rebuild his own. This is all my stuff here.
Yeah,
So
I would think that you would apply for the recreation position that's open. So you could be on the board of the recreation committee rather than just the liaison. Coming up, I think the applications are due the 23rd.
I had asked the chairman now to stay on the committee, so the recreation committee, so I can still maintain this. So maybe, I don't know, maybe Mark will set up his own website and his own calendar going forward.
Well, thank you, Michael. All right, action item 10, consider, discuss, and vote to readopt the committee bylaws.
Committee members, before you have the school committee bylaws. Every 2 years after an election, the school committee has a reorganization meeting. And at that time, you typically review the bylaws to make any changes. Similar to school committee policy, it's always good practice to kind of, for once in a while, take a fresh set of eyes on this. There are a few changes, and I'll go through them very briefly. On page 3, under section 4, posting of meetings, I think it's just some small changes, nothing substantive there. Where the notice of the meeting and agenda will be posted. It's always on the Secretary of State's website, and then it's posted at the Wilbraham Advanced School and the district offices. Now to the more substantive pieces here on section H4, section 4, individual members. The bylaws list here a code of basic principles and ethical standards for school committee members. A lot of this is found in Rhode Island general law, which lists out ethical code for school committee members. However, over time, Little Compton has added on to and kind of made it its own. 2 changes. One, Chair, I didn't know if you wanted to speak to 12, or you like me to?
Go right ahead.
Okay, so 12 is just a change where during every meeting on the agenda, it's a regular agenda item, every meeting, you have the ability as a member to request information from the school administration and legal counsel. Here is, in this item number 12, the bylaws, this change is really asking for the school committee members to make those requests at that time, unless a unique need arises where such information cannot be asked during the public meeting. The point really is to achieve a greater level of transparency. So all the school committee members and the public, to the extent that it is public information and can be shared at the meeting, are all in the know. In the event that a need arises outside of the public meeting for immediate request for information, then of course you can email the superintendent and CC the chairperson of the committee. So at least two committee members are in the know, yourself and the chairperson, when requesting that information from the superintendent. Item 13, a relatively small change is a deletion here. Of course, on issues, sometimes there are contentious issues before the school committee. School committee members have an ethical obligation to represent the residents of the town and the students, and to openly debate, and vote on all issues that come before the school committee. However, that second portion of that sentence, and support the majority decision of the committee, in my judgment, is a bit problematic from a legal perspective. You're all entitled to your own voice, your own opinion as to matters. If the school committee makes a decision that you disagree with, the idea that you now have to support it, I think runs into basic First Amendment free speech issues. There are controversial positions that school committees sometimes take. You may end up finding yourself on the minority end of a particular vote, and you may want to have the ability to express to the residents why you took the vote you did. This arguably prohibits that, because if you do, then it could be articulated that you're violating the bylaws of the school committee member, and I think that's quite problematic. So I'm recommending deletion on that one piece. Moving on to the next page, Article 4, Section 1, just adjusting the regular order of business. Apparently there's an item 5, personal recommendations. That no longer is something that we have. I think that's a feature of pre-2020 when we probably personnel recommendations was that the school committee would vote to hire individuals. That no longer happens. So before 2020.
Before the change to Title 16.
That's correct. All right, so those are all the recommended changes. Of course, the school committee, this is your opportunity now to discuss not only those changes, but any other changes that the committee may want to entertain. And if, of course, Chair, it's your meeting. So, of course, if there's no comments or everyone's in favor, you can just call for a vote.
Yeah, so Sean went over the changes in the bylaws. They are to create more transparency. We do not want to be running into debating possible APRA requests. We feel as though that there is time every meeting, as Sean stated. Tonight, it is Article 10.5, where we ask if there are any requests, questions, concerns, agenda items for information from the administration or legal counsel. That is when it is best to vet those requests. This keeps it consistent with the public knowing what we're doing, what the committee knowing what you're doing. And in the event, and I'll even go a step further, Sean, if, I don't want to assume that if there is an issue and they're uncomfortable CCing me on it, would they just be able to CC you on such an email?
If you'd like to amend the bylaws to reflect that, that's fine.
I don't want to, I'm not infallible. So if there's an issue that somebody has with me and they're like, well, I don't want to reach out to Lori with my concern and CC him on it, I would rather that there be an alternative to that possibility.
That's fair. You can have it where we can amend that piece so it says chairperson and or legal counsel.
Perfect. That's what I would like to. Do I need to make a motion to do that?
No, I think you can have discussion and see where everyone else is on all the changes.
Okay.
And then when a motion's formulated, whoever moves can just also state that that change is incorporated in their motion.
Okay. Is there any other discussion, questions, concerns, comments regarding the bylaws?
Yes, there's section 4 on posting the meetings. Like to follow suit with the town on that, as far as where they post at in front of Wilbur's store, at the bulletin board, so that everybody can see that as well. They post a school district office. That's where
Is the district office the town hall? Because it should be posted there as well.
District's office is where admin is.
Okay. I'm fine with that. I mean, just like the other item, the more transparency we can give the public, the more that they know where they can find us, where they can participate, where they can voice their concerns, champion the outcome, whatever it is. I think that Michael's is dead on with that. But I think not only the district office, but can we also keep with the Little Compton Town Hall? Because there is that bulletin board that has not only all the meetings.
There was an issue with that. Vaguely remember it, but
Someone removing it?
It was a space issue. I don't know if it was during the renovation or if they have a different bulletin
Check.
board system now.
yeah.
But when I asked, when this came up before, it was a space issue that they just didn't have room for our postings.
Which could be the case, because I was over there the other day and it was, okay, I could see that.
I'll dig up the
Tried.
original email for you, but like it was a space issue. It was just literally like, we just don't have anywhere to keep this.
All right.
And I don't know where that other bulletin board is that Mike is
In front of
talking about.
Wilbur
in
store.
front of Wilbur's store. But there's also there's also a bulletin board inside of town hall. So are you referring to the one that was outside?
No, the one that's inside town hall.
I believe I specifically have for inside, but I can revisit that.
There's one outside and inside.
I mean, see what, just revisit it.
Okay.
I mean, for example, the other day, they had a ton of meetings going on in the next few days from like the 6th to the 8th or the 9th. They have a meeting tomorrow. And I get that. There was limited space. I'd imagine they don't want things hanging off. Everything is aptly posted, 4 corners, so you could read it, deduce it. It's not like a pamphlet that's just pinned up there and people are flipping through it. So if it is a space issue, I think we can stick with the district office, but I think that they might be, now that the renovation's over, I wouldn't be surprised if there is some
Check
space.
in, and we do also post at the library unofficially, just to give folks a heads up that may not have electronic communications.
Okay.
Do put a hard copy in the library.
And
Just out of-
I may recommend for all the recommendations that are off our property where we wouldn't have control, that it might be more on the basis of we go above and beyond what the bylaws require.
Yeah.
Right.
But we're not required to do it by the bylaws because we can't control who someone else's bulletin board.
Correct.
Seems to be the problem, at least in one
Yes.
scenario.
Yes.
Likewise, Ocean, I mean, to include it in front of the Wilbur store, where that's where the town notices go.
Mhm.
We should be consistent with that so that the town, because not everybody, and I shouldn't say everybody,
That's an
but
assumption.
yeah. But a lot of people pass through that, be able to see those notices that do go and that don't go to the Secretary of State's website or not on our town website. They go by and see what's there. I mean,
Right, I don't disagree with Mike. I think that it's a perfectly good place to post from what you're telling me. I'm not familiar with it, but
like Sean
Is it
said,
a question of it being sort of monitored and under our control, that if it's at a public place that anyone could just come and remove it at any time and then it's not there anymore? So we're not really allowing it to be.
so my concern is only from a perspective of if the committee puts something in the bylaws and says administration has to do X, Y, or Z. And they can't do that because it involves interacting with a third party, you then run into a problem. Right, so wait a minute, we had a whole discussion about this. We even put it in our bylaws and superintendent's not doing it. I can't because I don't control. So it seems like all along, and the bylaws do not mention libraries, we have been posting at the library.
Hard copy.
Hard copy.
Yeah.
there is a space available at the library for that. I think they could explore all the other options, and as long as there's space available, go ahead and put it there.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily need to be in the,
Codified.
okay.
Right.
Because I'm fine, let's post it wherever there's a bulletin board. I mean, there's bulletin boards in Adamsville. Once Simmons Cafe reopens, I know there's a bulletin board outside there. So the more the merrier. But at some point, I want to take that onus off of Jennifer. I mean, should she be driving all over town finding every bulletin board that we have to offer?
And to be clear, the legal requirement is posted with Secretary of State's site.
Okay.
So that's your floor.
So to Sean's point, I think we're good. Michael, your point is well taken. And to know that we're already bringing it over to the library, if we could also include the Wilbur Store bulletin board in that journey, follow up regarding the town hall. And, it's like an unwritten thing. And if it's becomes a question, it could be something as simple as Jennifer posts it, she takes a photo of it, and you can share it with Lori, who could put it in her Friday memo, or whatever the case is.
There's room or whatever.
Do we have any other questions, amendments? As Sean said, this is a document that is looked upon and approved every 2 years following an election cycle. And it outlines what our responsibilities are and how our code of conduct, what it entails. And at the bottom, there's even the general law and the code of ethics. If there is no other discussion, I will look for a motion to approve the bylaws with the amendment to include in section 4, item 12, superintendent, chairperson, and/or attorney. For the approval of the bylaws. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Excellent. Jennifer, we'll vote via roll call.
Travis Audi,
Aye.
Susan Chase,
Aye.
Amy Gleischer,
Aye.
Mark Gleischer,
Aye.
Mike Rocha.
Aye.
Excellent. The bylaws have been codified. They will be up and running. Thank you all. All right. This is something I believe we do every couple years as well.
It is.
Item 10.2, consider, discuss, and vote to approve the Little Compton School Department 2024-2025 school year virtual instruction plan.
Yes, as we all know, we've never heard of Zoom until the pandemic, and Gmeet as well, and Microsoft Teams. And during the pandemic, the Board of Education did vote for public universities and public schools to allow, virtual days due to weather events or infectious disease issues, et cetera, et cetera. And post-pandemic, and that was temporary. And then post-pandemic, they voted to make it a permanent option. If the educational enterprise submits a comprehensive virtual instruction plan that is supported by school committees, school boards, and also collectives, support unions, LCESP, and also LCTA, our teachers union, educator union. And so we've done that in the past. Every few years, they do ask us to come before our school committees again, and also the various unions in our districts get their signatures as well. The plan was approved by RIDE in 2020 when we went virtual for that spring. And then we've continued to update it. It's a living document always. Jonathan's always in there. I'm always in there updating it. Jack also has pieces of it. And we have the signature page here. Once we submit that, we know it will be approved. They've already told us. if it's not substantially different from our past ones. We will, in case of a weather event or another infectious disease crisis, let's hope not. I think we've used it maybe twice since the pandemic, virtual instruction days. For snow, we did a half day. That counted as a full day so that we wouldn't have to make it up in June. So far, so good this year. Didn't lose any. So it is cold. But so yeah, it's up there for you to look at. Like I said, it's a living document. We massage it on the fly, depending on new tech systems or new apps in our Clever portal, et cetera, et cetera. That's it.
So the document is not attached on my agenda. Can we just pull that up, Jonathan?
It's not.
That's what I thought, but I'm not signed in either.
No, mine is not. I don't. I've got the others 10-3, 10-4.
And I did send you. All good. It's all good. I'm gonna send this to Jonathan right now. Huh? It's all good. Send this right now. Jonathan, I'm gonna send it to you. You're already on it, but. And go for it. Open it up. Oh, thank you. That's the old one, but that's fine. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
I was gonna say, nothing has changed from it.
Nothing has changed. No, I mean, a couple of edits, but nothing major. Ongoing. So you will pass that around.
Yes, Travis has this one.
There it is.
Which one is mine? This first one, school committee member signatures.
So the last time we spoke about this was, we talked about it for snow days.
It can be used for anything, really. No day, weather events, and also hopefully there will not be another global health crisis, but for anything really.
Does it specify in there what this can be used for? Because I recall that we had talked about snow days the last time that this was used, last time we talked about this.
Right, and we updated our school cancellation policy to reflect those changes.
So where else does it say beyond snow days that this can be used?
It's a virtual, what's that? Hurricanes or weather events or health-related events.
Where does it specify that, though, is what I'm asking. Where does it say beyond?
Well, that is the intent of the option. This is the state template. If we go to our policy, school cancellation policy, the board docs. What's that?
The boiler problem.
And there's so many different things. It could be.
Yeah, right.
Flu,
Power,
all of it.
boiler,
Yeah.
water.
Yeah.
My concern on this is that it was widely known that there were so many students that fell behind because of virtual learning all during that whole COVID period, because they weren't in the classroom. And this is a continuation, basically, it's saying that something that didn't work before completely, there's a lot of kids that fell behind. We're basically saying that it's okay for something that didn't work before, that we can still continue to use that avenue. I'm not on board with that. I mean, that's.
So let's talk about it. What would you suggest? Let's say that there's a catastrophic event and we have to shut the school down physically for 10 days. Would you say no virtual learning and kids should just have 10 days off?
I don't know. I think that's a discussion maybe we should have.
I think that this is Michael, this is a backup protocol in the instance that we do not have the ability to do school virtually.
But if it's catastrophic, I don't think school is going to be on the top the list of things that we're gonna be worried about.
Correct. I don't think that you're speaking about doing virtual learning for an extended period of time. I mean, I don't think we're going to be doing virtual learning at all. And in the rare case that we do it, it will be during a snow day in which we don't lose the day and I mean, there was a lot of pushback last year. And I, for one, despite having back and forth conversations with everyone, thank Jack and Lori, because everybody was really happy that our last day of school was on Friday, because I know plenty of Portsmouth parents that were like, yeah, my little guy's done, but my kid has to go to school on Monday because Portsmouth didn't do a virtual day. So this is a contingency plan for an instance where we still have the ability to do virtual learning and we can still capture the day. But I mean, if the school gets shut down, we're still going to have a means to how we produce education to this community. I mean, COVID wasn't ideal. That's why this policy even exists. Before 2020, there was no such policy. So we all scrambled to put it together. In the event that there is another global pandemic, a catastrophic situation at the school that shuts it down for an extended period of time, we need to ensure that families and students have the ability to receive their education. And that's what this policy does. And if it doesn't, Sean, please correct me if I'm wrong.
My understanding from the superintendent is that the virtual instruction plan allows for just as you stated.
Correct. Michael, we know it's not desirable. We're trying to prevent, we hope that we don't have any snow days, and we hope that we don't have any pandemic, and we hope that we never have to go to that situation again. But in the event that we do, we have a backup plan in place where everybody will know how to respond: teachers, staff, families, administration, the whole ball of wax.
If I may, it's not easy to implement a virtual instruction day. Many districts they chose not to do this. They chose not to write one, not to update it, not to get it endorsed every few years. And there's a new area in our administrative portal. I have to go in there and basically request, and we can only do that after this is approved and signed off by our support union, our teachers union, and our school committee. It's a robust plan, and we're continuously being updated and improved upon. We never shut down during the pandemic. We never had,
Correct.
a virtual.
We were literally the
experience.
poster child for the rest of the school. The smallest rural community in the state was the guiding light in terms of how to deliver education virtually. I mean, what are the chances? It's because we came together and acted in a manner that everybody got behind and said, it's important education in some fashion. Because I'll tell you, the districts that didn't make those plans, you think the learning loss was bad virtually. Think about the districts that don't have a plan to even address learning loss because they didn't do virtual. Those kids are eons behind. This is not an ideal outcome, but it is a protection in place to ensure that we can still deliver education to the students of this community.
And we hope we don't have to use them.
Correct.
If we do, we do. And we've used two.
It's the same reason why you have insurance on your house. You're not hoping that there's a hurricane or that there's a flood or that your house catches on fire, but it's in case something happens, we are covered.
Right. I think it prioritizes safety and also, academics and education.
Exactly.
Both and, yeah.
But then we go back and say, how do we always get along? And we've managed all these years before the pandemic. We didn't put kids in front of a computer during snow days before, right? And they still survive. The thing is now we have a history knowing that not everybody is up to par based on what happened during virtual learning because they need to be in the classroom.
But the technology wasn't available then.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that the kids were not in the classroom where they need to be in the classroom to get 100% of the learning. That's
Sure. I don't think anything's ever going to replace that. No, nothing's ever going to replace being in a classroom. This is, I think, the next best thing that prioritizes the safety of our students and our staff, but also gives them access to their education.
so what's wrong with if there's a snow day and the kids have a snow day and they can have the day off and kids can be kids for a day and then put them back in the classroom the next day if they have to stay one extra day in the summertime so that they get 100% of their education like they should be getting. That's why we're here. I don't see the point of rushing this and using this for snow days. If the kids have a snow day, let them have a snow day. Let them be kids.
What
I
if, go ahead, Amy.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Dice Mitchell. I believe that you have done that in the past, that you've granted full snow days without any virtual learning. Am I correct?
We've had so few,
Yeah,
so we've had so few.
I think in the, yeah.
And the policy does outline the process. The process isn't a unilateral decision.
Right.
It's a decision made by, with the DPW, with our head custodian, with the principal, with the teachers, IT. You know, we're reasonably certain that all of our kids, unlike before the pandemic, have access to reliable internet at home. We have provided several homes with access points. So it's maybe once a year, if that.
And this isn't written for snow days, Michael.
That was the discussion last year on why we did this.
This was not written for snow days.
It says weather or other.
Right, I mean, so right now there's no snow, but there's significant winds, there's significant cold. If, let's say, a bunch of tree limbs come down and the roads are impassable for the school buses. So you don't think a virtual learning day would be applicable in that instance?
That happened, the bomb cyclone of 2022, I believe, or 2023. The bomb cyclone.
Yeah.
And when I called DPW early in the morning, there were so many bus routes that were not navigable. There were so many tree limbs down and trees, the trunks even overturned. So I think maybe 3 times we've used it. 2 snow, they were half days. I think bomb cyclone was a wash. I'm not sure we had school that day. But it's meant for a one-off every now and then. And we have what I think is one of the best virtual instruction plans in the state.
Correct. I mean, there's other districts that I go to these meetings at the state, they can't believe that all of our kids have a computer. Like, what? How does that? We can't even send our kids home with computers because they don't come back or they get broken and we don't have the budget to support it. So we have such a unique situation in Little Compton where we have the buy-in from all the levels that Lori stated, the teachers, the administrators, the students, the staff. We have the technology available based on Jonathan being able to procure these and keep these up and running to a degree where they're functional day in, day out. I mean, it's got your kids, it's got my name, it's got Duke's name on it. It's unbelievable. And other districts can't even believe it. So I'm going to take advantage of every opportunity we have to provide education to our children, knowing what I stated earlier, what I said to Principal McKinnon and what I said to Lori, Dr. Mitchell, when I was complimenting them. Of course, in person is the best.
Yes.
You know, I got kids on my basketball team that are like, Coach, I practice. I'm like, tell me about it. He's like, oh, well, I played. I'm like, that's not practice, buddy. You got to get out there and shoot the hoop. You got to, it's always going to be best in person, Michael. We are not disagreeing with you, but we need a contingency plan in place, an event arise where we can provide education to our students and the families under extenuating circumstances where the teachers are like, yeah, I'm into that. Let's go. Let's do it. Lori's like, we can make this happen. Jack says, we can make this go. Let's do it. So I think that we're very fortunate to be a district that has that type of buy-in top to bottom. And it's not used as a crutch. We're not going to just do virtual days so we don't have to send the kids to school. We're not going to take advantage of it in a fashion that is detrimental to the outcomes. It is a backup plan, just like an insurance policy. And I mean.
And the 2 snow days, if I may, Mike, we did do half days. We crammed in our core academics so that the kids could also get out at 11:30 and whip snowballs and do their thing. And that's important. And that was the messaging as well. The kids get outside. And I think on both of those days, it was really stormy in the morning anyway, and then cleared up a bit, with an inch or 2 of snow. And RIDE will recognize 3.5 hours counting as a full day. And our data bears out the fact that it was not detrimental.
Correct. I mean, we're one of the few districts that is continuing to rise to the occasion and meet the.
We were fully in person throughout the pandemic.
And I get it, like, I remember those days and they were really fun, but I also think it would have been super cool to be able to get onto a computer, see all of my friends there, in their homes, learning together, being together in the morning. That's a pretty awesome thing too, for that day. So I remember throwing snowballs, but I also remember being really hot in the summertime and saying, why am I still in school? So, I mean, I think there's wins on both ends. And the technology is there now, so we got to kind of live in 2025.
2025. I will, if there's no further discussion, I will look for a motion to approve the Little Compton School Department 2024-2025 school year virtual instruction plan.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
We'll vote via roll call, Jennifer.
Travis Audi,
Aye.
Susan Chase,
Aye.
Amy Gleischer.
Aye.
Mark Gleischer,
Aye.
Mike Rocha,
No.
The motion carries. Do all members have to sign this following the motion carrying?
See the document.
Pass it over.
Members present.
I'm just waiting on Sean. I just want to make sure we're not ahead before.
So the document just states additional school committee members present. It doesn't signify your support, obviously the public
Right.
record on the vote. Mike, whatever you feel comfortable with doing, my recommendation would be to sign it since the majority of the committee has approved it. We wouldn't want any hiccups if someone says, oh, wait, you have 5 members, but only 4 signatures. With that said, again, it's not stating publicly that you endorse it. Everyone understands your vote.
Just says those present.
All right, item 10.3, consider, discuss, and vote the Rhode Island Department of Education Memorandum of Agreement for the Arts Initiative Act 2 School Building Authority Capital Fund.
That's a lot. We did receive an entitlement grant. Every now and then, we don't have to write them and spend copious amount of time and human resources. Every now and then, the Department of Ed is super generous and apportions. The minimum was $10,000 for small districts like ours. And then, the amount is sort of correlates with enrollment higher in other districts. And Principal McKinnon can use this $10,000 any way he wishes. In the past, I think he's bought guitars, pianos, all sorts of things. A case for some of the sculptures upstairs in the arts room. So I will sit with him and he will get to decide how this is used. Thank you, School Building Authority.
Awesome. I mean, talk about.
No.
What is that grant called again? What are you saying when you said instead of writing it, they just sent
Entitlement.
entitlement?
Yes.
Me up for
Love it
entitlement.
when those
My
come.
goodness, send my address. All right, I will explore a motion to approve the Rhode Island Department of Education Memorandum of Agreement for the Arts Initiative Act 2 School Building Authority Capital Fund. Do I have a motion?
It's a mouthful.
I'll make a motion to approve that entitlement grant.
Beautiful. Do I have a second?
Second.
Perfect. Jennifer, we'll vote via roll call.
Discussion on that for 1 second. I just want to ask, there's no like fine print. We're not,
Nope, no matching.
there's nothing, right?
Nope.
That nails us down to anything with this.
No, nothing.
You can use it virtually anything except salaries.
It's in the scope of the agreement and the documents that are attached,
Mhm.
what it limits it to and what it excludes.
They're all red.
Okay.
No further discussion. I have a motion. I have a second. We will vote via roll call, Jennifer.
Travis Audi,
Aye.
Susan Chase,
Aye.
Amy Gleicher,
Aye.
Mark Gleicher, Mike Rocha.
Aye.
And Jennifer, I sign this, or we all sign this?
Everyone will sign that,
I
correct?
believe so.
I think so.
Yes.
And then there's even a spot for superintendent, but I imagine the school committee members will sign. Okay.
Some school committees are 7 people, 9 people.
You have any idea what you want to spend the money on, Mr. McKinnon?
I heard guitars.
We have some ukuleles that Mr. Russo is currently using, but we buy some, and they're not buildable, but the kids can get them. They're very, they're not as nice as the ones that he's using in class, but we are going to upgrade some of the instruments, some of the drums that are in Mr. Russo's class. Probably go back to the time when I was here. So it's time to kind of upgrade some of the music, some of the brass instruments as well. So that's the plan.
We'll spend it.
What's that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Michael, just sign that and pass that over to Jennifer. And Lori, I have this page that just has your signature on it.
Yep.
I don't need to, I could just have this in my records, I believe. Well, it's for Jennifer. This whole
Yeah.
folder's coming back to you.
But I can get you a copy of whatever you need.
Might be supporting documents right there attached.
On what, I can't see that.
Right on the agenda item.
All right, item 10-4. Consider, discuss, and vote the 2025 Little Compton School Committee schedule of meetings. I know this is one that Jennifer has been diligent by posting a tentative notice of meetings on the Secretary of State's website. We will finalize those set of meetings this evening. And they are aptly displayed by Jonathan on the big screen. Tonight is January the 8th. There's no conflict with Valentine's Day next month. You have March the 12th, April the 9th, May 14th, June 11th, July 9th, August 13th. I like the August. I think that we can go without the July meeting if we are meeting on August 13th. That would give us a way to distribute the scholarships and have those children in. I'm always conscientious that college students tend to go back a few weeks earlier than we do. September 10th. October the 8th, November the 12th, and December the 10th. Is there any discussion or any concerns about removing the July 9th meeting?
I have a question on that.
Go
So
ahead.
if we remove the July 9th meeting, John, how does that come into play as far as, because we're not going to be here to approve the payment of the bills? How do the bills get paid?
You actually approve them after they're paid, so.
So every month we normally approve bills to be paid.
Right, but you're approving them after they're.
Yeah, he pays them. We just approved that the payment was, I mean, he's not waiting on us. Thank God. I mean, if that was the practice, we would definitely not have a AAA bond rating, and nor would anyone.
Warrants, especially then submitted to you guys on a monthly basis, so you can see what's being paid.
That's like saying that you're asking us to approve the payment of the bills under the, right? And basically you've already paid them then.
Correct.
Some of them you can't wait to pay, so.
The Dunning notices.
So it's basically a false thing that we're approving the bills to be paid.
No, most of the districts wind up doing that.
Sharing with us that the bills were paid. I would imagine you're going to sign off on it. Would you rather, John, include a line item in the budget that says delinquencies? Because we're not voting until, and then he comes to us and says, well, yeah, last year you had X thousands of dollars in delinquencies because I wait to pay them until you approve them. Michael, you've been in this room for 5 years. This is not something new. He gets the bill, he sees the due date, he pays it before the due date. Am I correct, sir? Just like you do at your house.
He's given us a register of the bills to what, I don't know why you're
Correct.
shaking your head. I'm
No, if
asking
there's a
the same
question regarding like a change of plan like we had last year, we have a meeting and we approve that change order. But in terms of like monthly bills to whether it be the fuel, the utilities, he's paying those bills. He doesn't need our approval for that, nor should he. Thank God he's paying the bills.
So then why do you have it in the line item to approve the bills? And if he doesn't need our approval to pay the bills?
Because it needs to come before this body that the bills were paid.
It does serve as an oversight function.
Bingo.
There are instances where deadlines need to be met, so contractual obligations are kept, that those funds need to go out the door before the committee can meet to approve. That is standard operating procedure throughout the state. After the fact approval, there's nothing wrong about that. If there are concerns about bills, that's the time to bring those up. There may be some instances where you find a bill that there was no budget line item authorizing that. You pass a budget every year. With that comes the administration implementing that budget, which incurs these invoices that need to be paid. If there was an erroneous invoice, perhaps a vote to say, no, we're not authorizing that. You can then retroactively, we have authorization from all of you to try to unwind that if something was done erroneously or improperly. 99.9% of the time, it's all in line with the budget that you've approved. Correct. And that's why you have that oversight function. There are questions that can be asked, and if committees across the state that will go through those bills with a fine tooth comb, and they'll ask questions. Why are we doing X? What is this all about? That's legitimate school committee business.
Correct. This wasn't, fortunately, that was not news to me. I knew that we paid the bills as we received them. I know if we have a change order on a capital expenditure project, it comes before this board for approval. Other than that, we're under the assumption that our finance director is doing his due diligence and paying things on time and not to put us into the rears and put us into a situation that we do not desire to be in financially. That's my understanding.
So you use purchase orders that are signed either by the superintendent or Jack in terms of approval of those expenses. And then your normal operating, telephone, electricity, the routine bills are.
I don't know how we got on bills. We're talking about the.
Because my question was, is if we take.
I know, and to be honest, Michael, you got to attend the school committee meeting 101 if this is the kind of questions that you're going to be keeping us up.
Why are you insulting me?
I'm not insulting you.
I'm asking a
You've been on
legitimate
this
question.
committee for 5 years, sir, and we have voted for this for 5 straight years. And now you're saying that you didn't realize that we don't pay the bills?
No, I didn't say that.
Michael,
We've never taken a meeting out of the
With all due
month.
respect.
We've never taken a meeting out of the agenda, out of the.
We didn't meet last month, did Michael? Did John not pay the bills? You didn't send an email about that. I'm just saying, Michael, this is a little far-fetched. I'm just saying you need to.
It's not far.
It is.
I'm asking,
It is.
I'm asking a legitimate question.
Okay, and you got a legitimate answer. Now back to the scheduling of the school committee meetings. Is everyone okay with the removal of the July 9th meeting if we're to meet on August 13th and can approve the scholarships and distribute them to the would-be college students? Anyone? Anyone want to be here July 9th? I'm fine with that. And more importantly, Lori, if something does come up, or John, if something comes up where it's a capital expenditure, I know a fiscal year ends June 30th, and we do need to have a special meeting, feel free to put it out there. We don't want anything to lapse, but at the same time, regular business is usually quiet during that time. And I am also cognizant of you all put in these hours, not only during the day, but into the night as we're doing so tonight, and it wouldn't hurt you to have an enjoyable summer evening. So with that, I ask, is there a motion to approve the school committee regular monthly meeting for the year 2025?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, Jennifer will vote via roll call.
Travis Audi,
Aye.
Susan Chase,
Aye.
Amy Gleischer,
Aye.
Mark Gleischer,
Aye.
Mike Rocha.
Aye.
Excellent. The motion carries. Item 10.5, this is what we talked about in the bylaws. Are there any requests for information from administration or legal counsel from anyone on the committee?
I have some, I'd like those.
Go ahead, Michael.
This goes back prior to December's meeting. I'd like to just do some follow-up on some. One of them was the introduction of 8th grade students to the PHS, and I think Jack kind of carried that a little bit, where you said there was a little bit of CTE where the kids are getting to be some exposure at PHS, more than just the, so will there be more than the introduction to the CTE? Have you worked on anything else besides that, where the kids can see more of the workings of the high school before they actually?
Yeah, so the CTE introduction night that Portsmouth ran, and they invited us December 18th, I believe it was. We couldn't make it. They have opened up, as I said, January 16th, I believe the date is, which is next Thursday, for us, just for little Compton kids to go over there.
Mhm.
And then again, on January 29th, it's not CTE related. It's basically, it's an open house. It's an informational session where, you know, Portsmouth students and Little Compton students can go over there, visit the school, talk to teachers, probably talk to students. So that's another opportunity for our 8th graders to go over there.
I had spoke about back in November about kids shadowing, our 8th graders shadowing.
Students over there?
Right.
Yeah, that's not something that would happen. I can't see that happening, you know, during a school day, because it is a little bit of a disruption, you know, for the continuity of the school day. Now, I have not looked into that, but that is not something that I think Portsmouth, because if that was the case, then kids from Portsmouth Middle School would be going there to view it as well. It doesn't normally happen like that.
I just like to, if they come back to us and say no, I'd still like to look into that, just to see what the options
Okay.
are, and just so they always be open, the glass is half full versus half empty kind of deal, and just.
I'll reach out to Dr. Heath and see what his intentions on something like that would be.
It asked about the after-school library when it was closed down, and you were going to look into that. What was the follow-up with that?
It was moved back to the library, but there were logistical issues, and so it moved to a classroom. It's back in the library.
So the time that I had asked, it was about where we were cut short. There was a student that was asked to leave. I believe it was at 2:00 that time, where normally we have coverage up till 5, correct?
Yes, we do.
So the student was left and the parent had to go pick them up. So how did that? John said that we get billed for it on a daily basis, so I didn't know how that was. My concern was that we're getting billed for something that we're not.
Well, the supervision was happening in another space. So we still had kids being supervised from 2 to 5 or 2 to 3, or 2 to 4, whatever their activity compels. And so we have the 2:00 bus, the 3:00 bus, and the 5:00. And so we were still paying for supervision. It just wasn't being held in the library at that time.
They got moved to another room. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Might have had to do with their librarian leaving for Barrington High School after the first week of school or so.
I had spoke last year when we were in the gymnasium about, and actually talking to Jennifer about a policy, and I guess this would go back to the policy subcommittee, about a policy that would notify parents of any upcoming changes or any new policies going forward. So that's something that I would like to see go forth to the policy subcommittee, that there be something that we don't just change policies here and not notify parents of what's going on going forward, so that they are aware of what the policy changes are.
So our policy subcommittee is posted on the Secretary of State's website, correct? The actual meeting that we're sitting in tonight is posted on the Secretary of State's website. We share the meeting via Parent Square and our communications. I mean, to what degree do they each get? I mean, that's a personal email.
He's going to recommend that we not engage in discussion on this item.
Fair.
Although you can make requests and ask questions, we don't have it posted as a discussion item.
Understood. Any other requests, Michael? We'll look into that policy piece.
Sure. The other one was again, prior to December, we had talked about the tuition rates and that we would look at that once the new committee came in.
Mhm.
When will that be being scheduled? Would be one of my questions, so that we can start that process. And my last one would be if we could update policy 6006 to the non-resident to reflect the new trimester that we have taken on here at the school from quarters to trimesters.
Okay. Sean, you got those?
Yep.
Anyone else?
I had two items.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, Mark. My apologies.
I just wanted to put out there, the idea or request for information on the website for homeschoolers. I know that we had talked about that. And then, my heart broke a little bit when I saw in the construction that we were reducing the size of the art classrooms. I know how important that is for art instruction. Space is so valuable in the school, and I get it. Having another classroom is a great opportunity. Just wondering sort of if anybody wants to talk about the percentage loss in that space, and if there are any contingency plans or plans to provide more space, maybe for storage for arts or some other spaces for that instruction to happen.
I can answer that now.
Sure.
The art teacher, the art classroom got the lion's share of that space. That space was two classrooms, an art classroom and something else. And in the 2012 renovation, they made it one huge space. Our classes are relatively small, very optimal, lucky that way. So there's still, I observed it for an art classroom last year in my international baccalaureate visits to various teachers' rooms. And that there's a lot of space, brand new kiln. There's a separate room for that. Got that kiln last year, I believe.
Yes, it's brand new. Yep.
And so I think it's more efficient use of the space. When we meet, I'm going to take you on a quick tour, and you'll be able to see for yourself.
Great. Thank you.
Super, Amy. Excellent. We are on to item 10.6. I will consider a motion to enter into executive session under RIGL section 42-6-5, 42-46-5 via roll call.
Sorry?
You
Need a motion. Motion for, my apologies.
Make a motion to enter into executive session.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we'll vote via roll call, Jennifer.
Travisati?
Aye.
Susan Chase?
Aye.
Amy Gleischer?
Aye.
Mark Gleischer?
Aye.
Mike Rocha?
Aye.
Lori, Roger, John.
Restroom, it's closest.
I think, Lori, is this the closest ladies' restroom right down there?
Yeah.
And it's for adults, right? I
Well,
mean,
it's for wee ones, but it's for anybody. Yeah.
well, I mean, she's not gonna go in there and the toilet's gonna be like, for her granddaughter, right? You know, like,
Little Violet, oh gosh, she's so cute.
I've had somebody do that to me. Compton. Awesome. Oh, no, we're good. No, we're back.
We're back.
You were good.
We're back. I closed at my computer always.
Oh, no, there's nothing,
Nah, you don't
there's
need
nothing
it.
more.
You're fine.
Welcome back to open session. I need to notify everyone, the public, that there was no votes taken in executive session. And I will consider a vote to seal the minutes of executive session. Do I have a motion?
So,
Excellent. Do I have a second?
second it.
Awesome. All in favor of sealing the minutes of executive session? Aye. Any opposed? Beautiful. Item 13, consider and vote to approve the sale of 317 Market Street, Warren, Rhode Island, pursuant of RI General Laws 16-3.1-10. Do I have a motion to approve the sale of 317 Market Street?
I'll make a motion that we approve the sale, 317 Market Street, Warren.
Second that.
All right, Jennifer, we'll vote via roll call.
Travis Audi,
Aye.
Susan Chase,
Aye.
Amy Gleicher,
Aye.
Mark Gleicher,
Aye.
Mike Rocha.
Aye.
Seeing as there is no other business, I will consider a motion to adjourn. So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Jonathan, John McNamee, Sean.